It's the last weekend of May 2024, and it's time to roll out another episode when Black Men Talk. This year seems to be flying by. If you don't stop and think about it, you don't really notice it. But yeah, 6 months into 2024. We want to salute the graduates of 2024 higher education. This time of the year where they're walking across the stage with their caps and gowns, and they're moving into another phase of life. Even the graduates that came from high school, well, we say salute to you as well. But there's something about higher education, especially for our people, to me, is something special. There's a young lady, Dr. Dorothy Jean Tillman too. They call her Dr. Genius. She's the youngest person that has basically received a doctorate degree in integrated behavioral health at the age of 17. Think about that for a second. 17. She's from Chicago, where she was homeschooled and she began college at the age of 10. Wow. Remember in this country years ago, we weren't afforded to have an education, read, write. It just they kept us from doing those basic elementary things. But I want to take time out as well to salute my son, who's 22. He's a little past 17, but in the past 2 years, he's picked up his bachelor's and his master's in marketing and accounting. He's an accelerator program. It's so interesting. At a graduation a couple of weeks ago, as he after he received, he walked up and said, "Dad, I forgot. They just told me that last year when I graduated cum laude." And I was like, "There it is, my man. There it is." But something you and I talked about a little while ago, Mr. DeMaurice, was talking about higher education, and we noticed that there's a disparity in numbers when it comes to black women and black men going and graduating from college. And I want to kind of pull that conversation in this morning because I want to find out what's behind that. So you're a teacher at a university, so I'm sure you may see this firsthand. But good morning, sir, and your thoughts what follows behind when it comes down to graduating. We don't see a lot of us walking across the stage as men.
Uh, Hey, gentlemen. It could be a number of reasons because I think black women are the highest as far as women going to college and graduating, and I I see it all the time. There's more women in college classrooms than men in general. You don't see a lot of white men or black men, but especially black men, Hispanic men. Yeah, you see them a little bit more, but I think in our communities, it's not pushed for. Education is, as far as the males are concerned, are not much value because it's like you got to get the fast cash, you got to make money, you got to kind of hit the ground running, and there are a lot of temptation out there to do that. And what I've noticed what students are doing now, they're going into entrepreneurship. They're going into business instead of opting to going into college. So when you go and talk to the high school students, and you especially talk to the males, they're thinking about entrepreneurship and making that fast cash. And why am I spending my time in a 4-year institution when I can do something in 2 years, or I can get a business going, t-shirt business, whatever business they want to get into, whether it's legal or illegal. That's really kind of getting their attention. Where the women, there are a lot more scholarships. They're taking the patients to go to school, get that good education in whatever field they go into. I know I'm in the social service field, social work field, and I look at my job, and there are not a lot of black males. And I was telling you to tell your son, and hopefully he'll listen to the show. When you get a black male and he gets his master's, he can almost write his ticket. He has more options. So he's in a very rare class of black male where they see you, they see your resume, go, this guy has it on the ball, and not too many of us. So pretty much in any industry you go into, you can write your own ticket. You can really write your own ticket. So he's in a rare breed. He's in a rare class of males getting not only their masters but their PhD. A colleague of mine, a former student of mine, he is finished his first year in his PhD program. So when you see black men with PhDs and master degrees and advanced degrees, That is a very rare thing. And in some areas in industry, you can write your own ticket because they're looking for black males in certain industries.
Yeah, I have a little different spin on what you said, and I agreed a lot what you said, but that quick fast cash, man, and a lot of times that's the fast attraction for us. And I love entrepreneurship. I love that. I love that idea. But that quick fast cash, a lot of times, even you quoted and says illegally, it leads to that.
Yeah.
And just because you get it fast, I mean it's long standing. And I'm gonna put another spin on it before I roll to Mr. Charles, because to me, I don't think when we look at our young black males, and I'm gonna put this at the lap of fathers. I don't think we look at our young black males, we think about them going to college. We look at them, can they make money in the sport? Can they do this? And then we kind of basically, even if we don't think they can, we lead them in that direction. Where young girls aren't looked upon as, well, okay, can you go out there and dribble a basketball? Can you go out there and be the next XYZ? Can you do XYZ? And I think fatherhood hasn't stand up strong enough to say, my male is going to do XYZ. Yeah, this is the projection for my son. Not necessarily rolling, making a big fast cash, but no, long term and longevity in life. And to me, that plays a huge part and doesn't get talked about. It doesn't get talked about. Mr. Charles, a question to you. We look at the young men of our shade walking across the stage in college. We don't see a lot of them. What's behind it, sir?
Well, I agree with a lot of what both of you have said. I do think that when I look at the modern day age, particularly with our young men, that there are a number of different ways to make money now, right? You can make money because you think about it from the standpoint of years ago when a gentleman would say, you heard a guy was a janitor or whatever, then you kind of look down upon him where you didn't think he made a lot of money if he worked at the school system. But now you might consider, you might say not a janitor but a janitorial service. And if a gentleman has a small entrepreneur company and he gets like 4 or 5 offices, he make a serious bank, and that's just in the evenings. A lot of people don't understand how much money is being paid out in these type of services. So my point overall is there's a lot of ways to make money, even from the crazy internet, which I think is considered to me fast cash like selling drugs, but that's for another story, another day of the debate. It's still fast. You say how you want to. Okay, one you may not go to jail for, but the other one is what's the longevity going to be if you don't get in early. But I think that again, there's a lot of other ways to make money, and particularly with the breakdown of the with COVID, people not having to go to work like that. If you can get on a line and you could be hopping between 2 or 3 jobs if you know computers and have a rationale understanding the English language and more of a wordsmith, you can make a lot of money that way. So I see that taken away, and I think now I'll say this: that I think in the modern day time that we're not pushing our young men, particularly men of color, to go to school and get that education. Some are, but most of them are not, because it's like, well, do you really need that? Because if I can learn the trade and you over here struggling with your whatever degree it is, and I'm making whatever I'm making per year, my trade's not going anywhere. What's going on about you? How long you have to wait to make some real money?
Uh, I want to move this in a different direction and take it away from education. And something that's been long standing for a period of time, where if you look in churches, you don't find black males at a high population either, Mr. Charles. And that's something I wanted to kind of wove into this because we don't show up to church. I'll speak for myself and starting this off. Over the years, I've went to church kind of sporadically. Never found myself going consistently. And I have my reasons for that. I mean, I don't feel I have to be at church to basically feel God. But that's my particular thing. And for some reason, you know, I find myself a lot of the times not drawn to wanting to go to church. Not proud of that thought, but It's not even thought in my head over the years. And then some days I'll say to myself, you know what, it's time for you to attend church, and I don't, it sometimes it doesn't move any further than that. But again, I know I'm just speaking for me, but when I stand back and look at the landscape, we don't show up to church either. What's behind that, Mr. Charles?
Yeah, I think that's a combination of things. I think there were people that were on the fence when it came to church men early on. Then COVID happened. And then now you can watch church on TV. More of an excuse. And then two, you think about the way that the how do I want to say this? I want to say the culture or the environment of our faith, some of our faith leaders, some of them have done some things and that have disappointed us or been connected to some things that have disappointed people, and people are like, well, how can I trust you? Do I trust you or whatever? And two, trying to find another place where you can feel comfortable and not be judged, because churches have been known to judge people. If you don't walk this way, you don't talk this way, you don't look this way, they don't think you're doing whatever. People are being judged. And one thing men are like, how the hell you gonna tell me something you out here messing around too? So we don't accept those things when the pastor is doing something wrong or whatever, and he's human. I get that, but I think there's a number of excuses or reasons why men are like, I don't, as you said, Mark, I don't need to go to church to really get what I need from the Lord, because the whole thing is connecting with the Lord. It's nice to be able to go to a place to connect with two or more people and discuss the Lord. But the question is, at what cost? And a lot of men are like, well, why am I doing that when I can get what I need? I can call my own meetings and connect with, focus on the Lord and get what I need that way.
Well stated, well stated, man. It's interesting because I believe as men, we're blessed with discernment. And kind of piggyback on something you said, Mr. Charles, we have went there, we felt certain things, and we're like, this ain't the place for me. Why am I keep trying to find a place where most of the times I see churches that are bamboozling people for the most part. And it's like, I don't want to be bamboozled. Am I just going to be in that number and be bamboozled? Or am I going to basically say, you know what, I'll pull myself away from that? And a lot of that goes on. And I think as men, we're smart enough to realize we just don't have to be in that number. We're not going to just play the game and roll around and put blinders on our eyes and act like we don't see something. And, yes, men are weak or whatever the case may be. But I think for us as men, when we go to church, we want to feel something. We want to feel something natural. We want to feel something holy. And we don't play with that. At least I know I don't. Your response, Mr. DeMaurice.
Yeah, I think for men and for me, it's like you see what's really going on. I mean, you see it for what it is, and we grew up in the church, and to me, after a while, it just became a show. Predict what's going to happen. It's already kind of tailored. What's going to happen? When it's going to happen? What are the catchphrases that bring you into the next phase of the ceremony? Things to that sort. And to me, as I started being more spiritual than religious, I realized that it's a cash grab, man. When you have on the slip when you're putting in your tithes and offering the building fund, and after 20, 30 years, ain't no building, ain't no brick, nothing, no mention of a building being being built for the Lord. You start realizing like, it's a cash grab. You see the pastor or the reverend or whoever driving the cars and wearing the nice suits and traveling and all this stuff, and you just still sitting there and you get in the same sermon you got last year. You start putting things together, and it really kind of taps into people's emotions. And we're just not we're emotional beings, but not as much as women. And so you start to see it for what it is. I want a jet. I want this. I want that. It's poverty pimping, and you just get away from it because you're like, this is not for me. This is not this. There's nothing unless you got a role in the church as a deacon, or you got some role that you're doing that you want to be a servant. That's great, but I was thinking about this the other day. It's like God don't need our money. God does not need the Almighty, powerful. He don't need our money. So you're giving it to somebody who's using it for whatever, to keep the building going, to wet their beaks and all that. And so you start realizing that it's like, hey, I'm in the same spot, but the head of all of it is still prospering, saying we could prosper too, but you ain't doing something right. But you're giving up your money. Okay. And so you start realizing that, you start seeing that, and I think it was way before COVID, because I've had men in our family who are like, they still, some of them go to church. My dad, religiously goes to church because he has a role in the church. My uncles and things of that sort. But after a while, you start really kind of thinking like, okay, what's this? What's this all mean? And like I said, I became more spiritual, where I can have a connection with the Creator, and I read a lot more, and I do other things to try to get an understanding of all the different Bible verses, the Quran, all the different religions, and so trying to piece those together. And it's been a personal journey. And I understand people want to congregate together and feel good, and I understand that part of it. But I think as men, you get to the point where you go, okay, I understand the feel good thing about it, but how is that getting me closer to the Creator? And this is not working for me. So when you're not in that role, when you're not a dog in that organization, you don't see a lot of appeal to try to be up in there every Sunday dressed up in your Sunday's best and things of that sort. Especially if you don't see that your efforts and what you're praying for not coming to fruition, but you see the lead person saying, "Yeah, this is how I'm blessed, and you're not doing something right. If you did it right, you'd be like me." And none of us are going to be that way, sitting in that congregation.
I love our conversations, gentlemen. I swear I do, man. That's what makes the foundation of what we do here when Black Men Talk. Are you loving this episode? Have you ever thought about creating your own episode? Like having your own podcast. What are you waiting for? Get started at podup.com. We're one of the sponsors of this podcast, and we'll love to someday sponsor yours. Starting as easy as creating an account at podup.com today. Podup has everything you need to run a full professional show. Podup has over 35 different tools with AI integration to further help you succeed. Create a free starters account or get a paid account with 15% off with the code when Black Men Talk 15. So check out Podup, or if you want a podcast that's done for you, where an agency do all your website, social media, and editing work, check out podallies.com. Pod Allies is an agency run by folks that literally built the Podup podcasting software. Get started with them at podallies.com. Get 15% off when you sign up today at Podup or Pod Allies with code when Black Men Talk 15. We can't wait to create with you and launch your own podcast. Gentlemen, we did a show a few episodes back talking about disharmony, harmony. Actually, we go harmony first. Kind of like the steps in the relationships: harmony, then there's disharmony, and then there's repair. We didn't get to repair when we did that episode, and I want to kind of move into that today. But it's funny because I thought about this after the episode was done, and we didn't get to it. I said to myself, a lot of relationships don't even get to repair. Think about that for a second. When you're in relationships, from your past relationships, when you first meet someone, great harmony. There's all that euphoria, your mind is floating. You think about a lot of different things, how things can be, and this is the one, and all that good stuff. And then come to this harmony. Boom, it's like you land on a flat surface, crash down. And you start to realize, okay, all that I was thinking before, why am I not thinking it now? It seems like it's past me. And then you start to have this harmony. And what really kind of brings it all together is the repair. But as I said, a lot of us in our situations, we don't get to the repair. Either we stay stuck in this harmony, we stay together, or we say, you know what, this is not worth it, and we move away from each other. And a lot of times there is no repair. Now, I want to start this by talking about true love, because You hear the word love tossed around quite a bit. Love, 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 love. But true love is a profound and beautiful connection that goes beyond mere attraction. It's about respect, trust, empathy, which allow ones to grow together. Now, think about those words, those adjectives for a second. It's about respect, trust, empathy. You put all that together. A good, strong, true love relationship needs those elements. Those are ultimate components of a healthy, vibrant, long-term relationship. So when we think about love, if that's what we want, those are the things that we should focus on. Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. Now, that's what I'm talking about. That rolls right into repair. Because if I have empathy, I'm going to care about you enough to understand what you're feeling, what's bothering you, what's hurting you. Now, what I've noticed over the years about us, Mr. Charles, as men, we basically repair silently, meaning that for the most part, we get to the point where, as I speak about the disharmony, we may try to start the repair, and then we're like, if we don't see where it's worth it, we kind of remove ourselves. Or if we have a conversation with someone and we realize that person's not basically hearing us, we shut down. That's our way of repairing. I want to get your response to that, sir.
Yeah, I can see that. Oftentimes, we as men, we don't be one because it's like instead of belaboring situations with long ongoing conversations, we oftentimes as men we want solutions, right? So if I have a conversation with you about have a conversation with a woman about a relationship, I want a solution at the end. How can we be better? And sometimes it feels like you're just trolling over and over and over, and you never come to a solution. So therefore, you go silent because you're like, this is never. She's never gonna get it. And maybe therapy helps, but if it doesn't, she's never going to see where I'm coming from. So why am I continuing to beat myself up trying to explain this to her to act as if she's going to see this with a fresh pair of eyes? So therefore, we become silent, and oftentimes we either walk away and just like, you know what, it's not worth it. And those are decisions that we make because we would rather have a solution, and when we don't get that, and we don't think there's a chance, then it's like maybe it's best for both parties for us to move on.
Yeah, I see that. And that's interesting because I think for men, Mr. DeMaurice, a lot of times when we're trying to repair, we need the other party to come to the table and be honest and open. And a lot of times the other party, and I'm not going to say it's always with the male, women could say this about us, I'm sure as well. But a lot of times the other party is basically coming here to defute, coming here to disagree, not coming necessarily with an open heart based around repair. So as men, when we know that, that's why, or when we feel that, that's why I say a lot of times men repair silently. Your response, Mr. DeBris.
Yeah, I don't think we realize as men sometimes when things go awry like that is that the reason why we're not getting cooperation from our woman or our wife or our girlfriend or whatever how you want to phrase it is because they've already made the decision that they're done with the relationship. They've already made the decision. Right now, they're trying to, make you feel what they felt, and there's never going to be any kind of repair going on because they quit the relationship far more earlier in the game than we realize. We'll sit there and we'll sit there in a bad situation. Long as I got a roof over my head, long as I I got food to eat, I'm good. We're simple. We're simple. But when things get just go haywire, women have already figured out, this is not going to work, and I'm looking for my next option. I'm looking for my next option, or I'm trying to make him feel like he's to blame for everything, and so I can make a clean breakaway, and I could just leave the relationship. We're still trying to figure out because we're trying to make it work. It takes a lot for us to establish a relationship of what you said: respect, trust, and empathy, which I think might have kind of went out the back door during the relationship because there have been things said, there have been things done, and some of us don't know how to let go of these things, so we'll keep them there and we'll keep them festering over time until there's a big argument at the time. So by the time we come to try to repair, it's already done, and we figure out that okay, they're not listening, they're not trying to do this, so we tried to kind of hold on to this ship. You know, we're going through a storm. We're holding on until we get thrown off the ship, and then we gotta, you know, pick up the pieces, and you know, you get washed ashore. And now you gotta figure it out. Now you gotta figure it out. You're stranded on this island. You gotta figure it out. So we got
Oh,
when they're sensing that things are going awry, they get quiet, and you ask them what, you know, what's wrong? Nothing. That's when they have made the decision that this is over. This is beyond repair. While we're trying to repair a ship that ain't gonna sail no more, we gotta figure out when they have checked out and check out too, and we got to be smarter about that. And we gotta open our eyes to see it more vividly, because sometimes we got, you know, our shades on, we try not to see it because we want stability, we want to keep what we got, but it don't work that way with them. And so we're different like that. And like I said, you trying to hold on to a ship that's basically worn, torn, battled, I mean, going through all these battles, and it ain't sailing no more, and so you're gonna get shipwrecked. And by that time she's already gone, she's on another ship, she's on another cruise. Like, you're on the island trying to figure out how to make fire.
wow, my brother. Wow. I'm going to take a spin on that, a little different spin. I think what happens too, um, from the start, um, from the intro, from the start, a lot of times women determine how they want the relationship to be. They come in this way, where a lot of times men are more free flowing at the start. That's the harmony part. But in the harmony stage, she determines, okay, this is how I want the relationship, and she don't tells you this stuff. So there's certain things I'm not going to do. There's certain things that da 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 da. They give you the laundry list because they feel at that point you're so enamored with them, you're just going to agree to it. You know, you're breathing hard. You're just going to agree to it, and a lot of guys do. So my point is, when you at the early stage don't say or don't make clear to them, no, that's not cool with me. I'm not. No, that doesn't work for me. So when they feel at the harmony part, you signed on and you agree to it. So when disharmony comes, they're looking at you like, what's your problem? I let you know this up front. What's your problem? So now when you move to repair, what do I have to fix? Because I came in this way. So they don't even show up with empathy, trying to understand and try to fix, because they look at, I came in, I set this up how I needed it to be. The problem is you. So why I got to repair anything? There comes your attitude. There comes your stubbornness, not willing to do anything, because they basically came in feeling that, they're the prize. And, I've said this before, as men, when you're pursuing her, the way you pursue her makes her feel like she is the prize, like she's better than Pam Grier. So when you blow her head up like that, make her feel this, and she comes and determine that you're going to do X, Y, Z. And let's face it, as men, some of us has been dumb enough just to have sex with her, to play that role and think that there's something there when there was never nothing there. So that how it leads to them looking for that other option, that cruise, because sometimes some of them, you're right, they're always looking for something better, but they come in and they set the standard for themselves, not for the relationship. It's selfish for themselves. And if they're not checked early on, realistically, I hear people talking about femininity. F all that. I'm not going to make it that damn deep. It's just your personality, your character, who you are. Do you want to be in a loving relationship, be flexible and be compromising, or you don't? You ain't got to be feminine and make all that. That sounds good, and don't get, I'm not discounting that. But sometimes we make it much more technical than it has to be. Because if you're looking for a long-term relationship, you don't come in a bunch of standards where I'm going to do this, you do that. No, X, Y, Z. But I want to roll to something, gentlemen, because when I came across this, it took me back a little bit, and it kind of made me think. And I was like, "Whoa!" When you think about this, research states that you're emotionally available 9% of the time in relationships. Think about that. 9% of the times you're emotionally available. A lot of times we talk about emotions, but you're only available 9% of the time, which means it leaves 91% room for miscommunication. 91% of the time, you're all miscommunicating. And like I just said a little while ago, they come in with these standards. And if you don't communicate back, I ain't going for that. Find you someone else to be play your idiot. That's communication. If you roll with it because you're enjoying what's going on between her legs and trying to get more of it, that's communication. So when it gets to the repair stage, it's like, what are we repairing? She doesn't think there's nothing to repair because you've been rolling with this baloney for the longest period of time. And I'm gonna come back to you with that thought process, Mr. Demetrius, because I don't think as men we look at it that way. We don't. We get enamored. Well, she got a big whatever. She got this. We got that. We ain't paying attention in the harmony stage. And then when you get to this harmony and you get to the repair stage, you realize she don't give a damn about you. Your response, my brother.
Yeah, I think when the relationships start, you get into that harmony phase because you're trying to feel each other out, getting to learn each other, getting to, know each other in different ways, and then life takes over, bro. You got to go to work, you got to make a living, you got to pay bills, you got to do all this other stuff that you kind of put on the back burner when you're in that harmony stage or in that beginning phase because you're trying to make an impression on this person and trying to build a relationship. But I can see where the 9% comes in, where you just don't have time, and you're not committing that time. And God forbid, throw children in the mix. You got to take care of the kids, so that gets interferes in the communication and creating that harmony in relationships and things of that sort. Or things don't go right, and you start. I've talked to a buddy of mine who was talking about, man, my work wife understands me more than my wife at home. And I'm like, you're stepping into a slippery slope right there, bro. You're stepping into a slippery slope. Don't do it. Because she hearing everything that ain't working with yours, and she's playing you. So there's a lot of things in the mix. Infidelity, things of that sort. So you gotta be, you gotta be careful. You gotta be careful in that and keep that um sense of we're going to create some time where we can keep this harmony together, keep the relationship going. It's instead of me time, we time, and kind of you know keep it on a level where you're building and you're growing. Maybe not at the rate at the beginning of the relationship, but you're still striving to be that couple that you're striving to be at the beginning. So I could see that 9% and the 91% when life really starts hitting, that your attention has to go elsewhere to keep a roof over your head, to keep clothes on your back, to keep food in your belly. And if you have other responsibilities like other things that are coming up with children, things of that sort, I can see where it could get to a point where you grow apart from this person because you're so busy with life.
Yeah, I'm going to say this, man. I think that's I hear that, and it's not to disagree with you, but I think sometimes in life we don't push to do what we don't want to do.
Hmm. Yeah.
So when it comes down, because to me, if I'm with you, and 90% of our interaction is miscommunication, we ain't got nothing.
Hmm.
We ain't got nothing. Because to me, my job, my kids, all that other stuff got nothing to do with me communicating with you. And if you can't separate that and communicate with me better than 91%, I don't need you. I don't. Because you're not here, you're not vested. And that's the interesting part, I think, with a lot of couples. They're not vested into each other. And they could be together 30 years, they're miserable because they don't know how to communicate. Think that for a
Hey,
second. Think about that for
hey,
a second.
hey, Mark. Do you remember, like, I don't know if it happened in your household, but I know in my household where I can't remember sometimes where I saw my parents speaking to or talking to each other.
No,
They sitting in the same room. They ain't talking to each other.
no. And and it's like they make. I've seen situations when I grew up, and I seen. I'm gonna go back to this is one of the things that kind of said to me. I'll pull it up. This has popped in my head. I got to go with this. Kind of said to me, "You got to get out of this marriage, boss." If I sat down with her and we talked about a certain subject, we're going to do X, Y, Z. It'd have been purchasing a home and doing this, and we agreed upon something. And we're in agreement. We have the communications better than 91%. And I get up from the table, and we both get up, and I see where you're doing something totally
Mm,
different than what we agreed
yeah.
upon. Why am I with you? Why am I with you? Because if we can't sit down and communicate, I don't give a damn if it's about buying a popsicle. If we can't communicate on a flavor and just talk about like, how am I building something with you? How am I going to have something long term with you? And it's like, you got one of us got to go. Let it be me. Because again, what about communication? Is simple, should be easy. You listen intently, listen, respond, show empathy, understand enough, care enough. And if you can't do that, you ain't worth my time. You're not worth it. I'm sorry. Sorry to go a little long with Mr. Charles, but think about that for a second. 9% of relationships, 9% is the emotional part. 91% is miscommunication. Your thoughts, boss.
Well, yeah, I think I understand that about the 9%, but I think that's why, and it usually doesn't happen in the harmony phase. But as you're moving along past the harmony phase or somewhere in between, it's important to say, hey, I'm connecting with this person. We have an understanding. We have a bond. So we have a great understanding about how we do things. If you have that, so if it does dwindle down to where you only have like 9% of the connection there, harmony, but we know how things go. And oftentimes, people going out doing other things, other responsibilities, your bond can have an effect on other life things. And if your bond is solid and good, and at least you can have it on the same, being on the same page, it can benefit those other things as well. But I think it really comes down to, as you said, you got to be willing to understand where the person's coming from, work it through, talk it through, and be willing to accept things may not go my way, but the best way is what's going to work for us as a union, as a group, as a family, what have you. Like for instance, real quick, you have where you meet a woman and she's beautiful, attractive, and definitely attracted to you in a number of ways. You say, "Oh man, I'm feeling her," whatever. Then you start to learn more about her, and she said, "Well, I was this way from the beginning." You realize that she's horrible with her finances.
Mm,
She's horrible. But yet, because she's fine and she gives you a little something, she wants you to just kind of go with it because this is what I've always done. That's why you broke.
mm.
The hell? So you want me to be broke with you? You're crazy as hell. Anyway, I'm just saying. So at that point, after a while, I'm gonna get used to just being with you, and the physicality is gonna wear out because now you're in my pocket, and I'm broke because you making bad decisions. That's not gonna go over for too long. 'Cause after a while, I'm like, look, I like my money more than I like you. I mean, if you want to work with me and we can work together, I can help you improve your finances. But just because you broke and you fine, and I'm supposed to go along for the ride, wrong answer.
So, Mr. Charles said a lot here that really should be kind of dissected because that's what a lot of men will do. I've done that myself. Because most men determine realistically early on who you are, what you're good for, what's the value, and they'll enjoy the value for a while and they'll walk away. And see, you're thinking that if they didn't communicate it to you X, Y, Z, you're just basically not going to listen, don't pay it any attention. Oh, okay, they just overlooked it. They're going to run. No, they're not. They're not. They're not. And when they walk away from you, you thinking that, oh, we was on the highway to get married. You're thinking because they're spending time with you, they're ready to put a ring on your finger, and they ain't thinking about that because they don't see where you line up. The communication is there. 91% is not, it's there. Now, I would think in some cases, like Mr. Charles just said, you come across someone, their finances aren't great, but other things are. They have a sense of willingness, a compassion, they have empathy. Those things Guess what? You may decide I'll work with this. We can straighten your fine if you allow me to work with you. But when you don't deem it's a problem, but yet you're trying to have something that finances play a part in, he has a decision to make, and that's it. And that's why I say a lot of times men repair silently because we'll come out, we're trying, as Mr. Dewey says, we like fixing solutions. You tell us, the water's leaking. Most average man gonna try to go look at the knobs and try to, if he can fix it, gonna try to do what he got to do. But when he realizes he can't, you're not a willing participant. That's then that when that silent repair come in, and then they'll say you don't care enough. It's not about caring. It's that you didn't show up to the party. You chose for every reason not to show up to the party. So why am I got to be the one here for the most part doing all the work, but yet you're getting the benefit? Any response to that, Mr. Maurice?
Yeah, I totally agree. Because I've been in a situation like that where divvied up responsibilities, and I don't know if anybody else experiences it, but I talked to a few guys offline about this. You giving your significant other money to pay the bills, and you start getting termination notices on these things.
I'm sorry.
Termination
I'm sorry.
notice. Hey, and you go to your significant other like, no, I paid on the bill. I ain't paid the whole bill. I paid on the bill. So they pocketing some of the money that's going for bills. Where they do that at? You get the bill. I paid on the bill. We can get the disconnection notices. Oh,
God, give me
I
a second
jumped
to wipe the
off.
tears from my eyes, bro. Give me a
Yeah,
second.
I jumped off the
I'm
boat
sorry.
and started swimming to an island. After that, I'm like, oh, this gets. Who taught you how to do this? You
Oh
skin. You skin. It's like if we were in the mob, you get whacked for doing that.
my. Oh my goodness, man. It's just that's how I was saying earlier. You that was kind of like I said earlier. You basically thought you had something worked out. Then you realize you had nothing worked out. She paid partial. It was nothing worked out. It was nothing worked out. So whatever you thought you had, you didn't have. You thought you had, but you didn't have, man. I swear, man. This is yeah, you're right. It's not. Well, of course, I'm not can't say I experienced it to that degree, but it's kind of similar to what I was talking about earlier. It's like you think you're doing one thing, and you kind of totally do something else. Gentlemen, man, this is man. I tell you sometimes. Oh, wow, that's a good one. That's a good one. I paid on it. I didn't pay.
This is true story. You can't make this up. You can't make this up.
Oh man, that reminds me. I gotta say this before we move on. I remember my sister Cynthia, and she listens sometimes. She says, "Sis, I love you," but I remember a period of time when she was separated from her husband. So my mother said, "Let her come live with you." I think, "Oh no, I don't want to." But you know what? She's my sister. I let her come. Let her come. So let her come. Let her come. So okay. Since here's the phone bill. Here's my portion of the phone bill. Your portion is your portion is my portion. I get to the phone bill 2 months later. Like you said, termination notice coming in. I said, Cynthia, I gave you money for the phone bill. What happened? Oh, I had to go pay. What do you mean? Whoa, 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 whoa. What do you mean you had to go pay this? When I gave you to pay this, you didn't put your share. So you took my share, use it for something else for you personally. Now I gotta give more money to you or to pay the bill to keep the phone going on. And to them, that makes sense,
Yeah,
bro. That makes sense.
yeah.
It makes sense. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Ain't nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. Nothing wrong with it. Mr. Charles, your first question for this episode, boss.
Yeah, my first question is I've noticed something, and maybe it's been the last couple of days or whatever, but do you find that, do you wonder what how and maybe this is a little bit too deep, but do you wonder the type of what it takes for what kind of people that make up this world? And what I mean by that is there's so many people that make the simplest mistakes or crazy mistakes even while driving in traffic, right? and then the other people have to make concessions because they're being stupid. But these people act as if they own the road or they certain things like they're entitled to whatever. So my question is, with all these, maybe it's a balance where it's people that's really not giving a damn, doing whatever, people that's making the concessions. And then two, my question is though really is, how do you think the Lord is looking at this going? How you do checks and balances to make sure this thing don't go off in the deep end? I know that's a lot, bro, but damn, there's some dumbass
No,
people in this world.
it's not a lot, man, because we all feel that. You're right. We all feel that drive, and it's not. I look at it. I go way back further because a lot of us have been raised to be considerate of others, to think of others, and not make it all about you. So if you were raised to believe everything in life you deserve to have the best in it over someone else, you're better, you're blah 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 blah, you live that way. You cut people off. You're not considerate. You do things that just basically, from a human standpoint, you always putting yourself above, and you expect everybody to move out of your way because you don't care. But it goes back, I don't think a person basically gets to be 18, 19, 20 and take on that mentality. It was in you from a child and you weren't corrected. And you see these parents, and I'm not saying it's not much bigger than that, but you see these parents when their kids do something wrong. No, my kid didn't do nothing wrong. XYZ, they make excuses. They make excuses for anything their child. Their kid could be grown, 25, 30 years old. No, their kid just robbed somebody. Well, right is right and wrong is wrong. But we live in a world where people don't respect that. It's that no, whatever you do, I got your back. You're my child. You're my baby. You're my this. What you go do, I got. And it's gotten way out of hand. So you see that now in a lot of different areas of the way we live, where basically the basic root to fundamentals that should have been given to that person as a child wasn't given. Your mama kept the breast milk in your mouth way too long. Never showed you was wrong. Never spanked your hand when it needed to be spanked. It didn't happen. And those are the things that we came up having. Look at the difference. So when we see it, we are like, wow, how they didn't get it? Because we got it. That was like the basic fundamental of raising a child in our childhood. But these kids now, or what we see the generations behind us, look at them. They don't respect nothing other than themselves. They don't want nothing, but they don't care about nothing but themselves. They can leave things. They don't think about who comes behind them. Nothing. But they didn't get there on their own. Your response, Mr. DeMaurice.
Yeah, I mean, that happened. I think that happened sometimes in our generation too, where they got the lessons and everything, but they just chose not to go in that direction. And so some of the values and beliefs that people were brought up with have been watered down over the years, and I do believe that sometimes people will come back to that before it's too late in their own lives. But it's almost like, I don't know if y'all have ever been part of group projects, and there's a person or people who aren't doing their part, and that makes it harder for you to get the project done because, whether you're at work or at school or whatever, you're working trying to get this, project, because you realize the importance of getting this project done and getting the results of this project. But it's tiring. It's tiring, especially in society. It's almost like we're in this big group project. You think about COVID. All we had to do was everybody put on masks and, social distancing. And you have people who are fighting so hard against it that was keeping this disease going. And it's like, all you got to do is something simple. Put a mask on. Put a mask on so you don't spread the disease. And people are just having heart attacks like, oh, I can't breathe in this mask, blah, 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 blah. And meanwhile, millions of people are dying from this thing. And we just couldn't get it together. So some people are just brought up with, different values and beliefs, what they're going to do, what they're not going to do. It could be political, it could be racial, it could be a whole number of things. But it's just tiring at times when you're trying to do the right thing because you know the value of doing this right thing is going to be the greater good to everybody, just not you, but to everybody else. And you're looking out for everybody else. I've witnessed people in stores when we were going through that, and they said, well, why you got a mask on? It's like, well, I'm here to protect you and me. It's just not I'm doing this, protect against the disease. I'm looking out for you also, because if I may have it, I may give it to you, and I don't want to do that. I don't want to spread it. But people don't think like that. They always think me, 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 me. And that's the way society kind of built, is more for me and none for you kind of mentality. And that's why we can't get things done. Because if we were all on the same page and we were all doing our part in a group project, we get it done faster. We get a great result from it. But we can't get people to understand that because they're just stuck on stupid. Is what I always say. People are just stuck on stupid.
Yeah, I agree with that. Stuck on stupid part and lack of common sense.
Mm-hmm.
Good, good question, Mr. Charles. Your response, boss?
Yeah, no, I'm with you. It's just I agree with that. I think sometimes some people have not had that, had not had to have be, have not needed to be responsible. Uh, they've been excused for doing the right thing and moving forward. So therefore, it takes others that are the people that are really making things happen, trying to move forward and do it the right way. It takes them to correct them. Because I'm sitting there going like, well, you okay? You want to do this, but you're not going to do this on my watch, right? I don't care what you fail to receive or what they let you do. When you're here, you understand there's an order. There's an order, and I think we need to let more people know that. The generational thing, I get it too. I know how that is, but as it was stated earlier, right is right, wrong is wrong. Oftentimes in these scenarios, and this privilege type of situation or whatever it may be, is just like, damn, how the hell are we even functioning as a society? People just don't give a damn. A lot of them anymore.
Yeah, that word privilege is huge, man, because when you feel that you are, you walk in it, and it gives you false confidence, and that's what a lot of them have. A lot of false confidence with that privilege, and you notice when things don't go right with the privilege, how they fall apart. The world crumbles in because they've been given that false confidence. Your question, Mr. DeMarie.
Yeah, I was listening to this comedian, and I thought this would be a great question. And he was talking about, he said there used to be a time where the people who knew shit used to run, everything, and the people who didn't know shit would just sit back and shut up. Now we got a situation where um, people who don't know shit seem to be running things, and the people who do know things seem to be put on the back burner like they don't know anything. How did we get here?
Well, I would think that we just assumed that people we knew that knew that what they knew, we knew they knew what they knew. If that makes sense. But I think a lot of times because I think a lot of time the masses in the past didn't question. So we assumed they knew what they knew. We didn't question. We just kind of like, along with it. When people start to basically think for themselves, they realize this person really doesn't know what they're doing. But what surprises me is that people that don't know what they're doing, how many dumb people would just will follow and know they don't know what they're doing. They don't care. To me, that's more of a shocker than anything else. It's like they know this person or people aren't adequate, are not right, but yet you're willing to stand and support. That to me boggles the mind more than anything else because it's like, what do you believe in? What do you stand for? That's to me, it's like, and that's the thing I think that I see a lot now. You can stand for anything, anything. It doesn't matter no more. You justify it, say something, keep it moving. You take a stance now for anything. Your response, Mr. Charles.
Yeah, it's just crazy when you think about it from the standpoint. But I will say that I think finances has something to do with it too, because now we're finding that some people have inherited money or they came into money some kind of way, and somehow or another they're in charge, or they have the right to do what they want to do, but then they don't either hire good people or they have no idea what the hell's going on. They just have the money, and you're sitting there going like, man, what, how is this possible? But then again, on the flip side, what was mentioned, I do agree too that some people either just because they've been there a long time or people like them or whatever, they end up as supervisors or bosses or whatever decision makers, and they truly don't know what the hell they talking about. And then people go like, "Well, he's been over there for 25 years. Okay, he still know what the fuck he talking about. Okay, how long he been there? He's an upstanding citizen and blah blah blah. He pays his water bill on time. That don't make you a damn good advisor or somebody knows what's going on. Well, You just don't understand. You haven't been here long enough. I understand stupid when I see it. How about that? How long that take?
Oh, I love that. I understood stupid what I said. Man, that's got to be put in this T-shirt somewhere. you ever, you ever spot Mr. David Reese?
Yeah, it boggles the mind, and I start to see it, and we have saw it in the last few years where it's like some of the village idiots have just been taking it over, and we allow them time and we allow them attention to sprue off this nonsense, and at some particular point we got to get to the natural order of things with people who know shit need to be, doing what we need to do. And people who don't know shit, sit the fuck down and shut up because you're mucking up the whole thing. You're gumming up the works, and it's not getting any better. I think we got to this point because the people who did know shit were really kind of taking advantage of a lot of different things to where there's like, you know um, what the hell? Let's just turn it upside down and see if that works. And then we started rolling with that. Well, folks, I'm here to tell you it's not working. We need to tip it back to where it needs to go and get people who know shit in powerful positions and in leadership positions so we can steer this ship into some safer waters because it is truly out of control in this society. Truly out of control.
Jim, I want to throw in a question before we get out of here, and if you could respond to it, that's cool. But the question basically is: have you seen something recently that touched your heart? It could have been a video, something you saw. And I came across this recently, and it happened recently. There's a video of I think it was Dallas, Texas, if I'm correct. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and I apologize. Where this cat was trying to get he was at the school for kids that they didn't have dads, and he wanted to basically have fathers come in and mentor them, talk to them, and basically teach them how to tie a tie. So he asked the community for 50 fathers to come out. Well, he got 600 to come out that day. And they came out from all different places, all different demographics, all different races, all different ages to be part of this. That touched my heart because it's sad to think that these young males, and I'm talking these cats might have been 10, 11, 12, 13, didn't have a dad in their life. But the other men heed the call, heard the call, was touched, and came in. Yeah, that did it for me. If you have something, Mr. Charles, we'll allow you to share. If not, I'll move on to Mr. DeMaurice.
Yeah, I think just in general, man, I think I kind of ran into to something, and when I look at it is how a lot of times where we see opportunities where the people in medical fields, people really know what's going on, they really have compassion for people that are really ill and those that really care. That really speaks to me because I think a lot of times we think about doctors, nurses, particularly nurses, as a thankless job that we just expect them to care because that's what they do every day. But there are some that really care, and watching certain of these videos or them really even taking going being brought to tears when someone is lost or someone's struggling. You got to think about how they have to deal with that every day, and that can be mentally draining and just can take a toll. But they come back every day. It's like a great teacher, man. And I think watching some of those videos where they're really dedicated despite the situation, they come back every day because that's what they love to do and they want to take care of these people.
Beautiful, right there, Mr. DeMaurice. If you have one, sir.
Yeah, I try to watch videos that make me cry every day. And I got that from Jim Valvano, who, when he does that speech, is like, you should laugh, cry, you should have certain emotions every day, because that signifies that you're alive. But there's a young man that I've been training with in jiu-jitsu. He's from Brazil. He's 17 years old. I think I sent out a fundraiser he's doing. He will be competing in the world championship at 17. So inspired by this young man, Isaias, and just how he carries himself as a 17-year-old, how hard he works. They brought him here from Brazil to train him with some of the world champions here, and how he, is receptive in learning and how he teaches. I've learned so much from this young man. I know I've learned more than he's learned from me. But reach out to these young people because they need guidance and help. And I was glad to donate to his GoFundMe because just meeting him and knowing that he's a star in the making, that somewhere along the lines he's going to be famous, and he is a star because of his work ethic, because of his tenacity, because of his attitude, and just wanting to help people receptive to older adults and people younger than them. It just inspires you to keep doing what you're doing. And if you see a young person in your life or crosses your path who needs that guidance, whether it's some advice, some financial, help, help them, because this is what helped us be who we are right now. And don't forget that fact, because when I see him, sometimes I'm rolling with him and I'm like, oh, to be 17 again. To be 17 again.
Yes, sir.
Knowing that
Yeah.
he is going to be bigger and better for the experience coming to Chicago for the first time and learning English, and every time I see him, he's, picking up more language, things of that sort. It's just inspiring. And yeah, salute our young people. They are the future. And if we don't really kind of show them and give them that advice, especially the ones that are receptive to it, they're going to be lost. So take time out to work with these younger people. It is worthwhile.
Yeah, man, I say in everything we just talked about, a lot of different things out there, a lot of it, we're doing God's work, right? We're doing the work that He would want us to do. Gentlemen, appreciate you do what you always do, show up and bring it strong. We're together, get together real soon for another episode when Black Men Talk. Myself, Mark Elliott, Mr. Charles, Mr. DeMaurice. You all enjoy the rest of the weekend, and we'll get together soon. May you continue to stay strong. I know God's going to continue to bless you and love you. So as we take care.